What's up guys, my name is Andy. In this video, I need to go back and fix a mistake that I made several months ago when I was doing the lowering springs on my car. When I put these lowering springs on, the isolator boot piece that goes on the top of the spring that fits up inside here was old and cracked and worn out, and I intended to replace it and I just never did it. In fact, it wasn't until a recent video that I was working on that I realized that I saw that and I forgot that I had gone back and done it. So I went ahead and ordered what was supposed to be installed back then, and that's these, what is it called? It's a spring isolator is what this is called. And again, this just fits on that top coil of the springs, and it's supposed to go on both sides. I didn't put it back on, so let's go ahead and get this stuff torn apart so I can put it back in there. First thing we're going to want to do is get the car jacked up and put it on jack stands, and it makes it easy to do everything we need to do here with this front suspension. Before I can take this wheel off, I have to take this wheel cap off. The way this is designed, I can't get the socket onto these lug nuts because this is in the way. I really like the design of these wheel caps, but I don't like that I have to take them off when I want to take the wheel off. Next, we're going to want to go after these 1/2-inch nuts on the bottom of the shocks in the front here. And then these 1/2-inch bolts on top of the shocks. When taking these out, make sure you don't lose these two pads on the bottom here. Sometimes they stick down inside. I've lost these before, so just keep an eye out for those. Now, because I cut my springs back when I was installing these to get the certain ride height, it puts me in a unique scenario where the springs are so short that I don't have to use a spring compressor to get them out. But I did have to raise up, I put the other side of the car on a jack stand so that I can push down on this upper control arm without this larger sway bar, you know, doing its job and keeping this suspension from traveling too much. But if I put a bar underneath here and just use a little bit of leverage, I can twist this around and pull the spring out. Now, you would think that would be super dangerous. The spring could fall out. Yes, it could. There is a pocket that this thing sits in where this end sits inside there that helps. With that boot on the top, or the isolator that's supposed to be, that helps keep everything from spinning around. But I don't have the suspension drop problem where I would be worried about the spring coming out. It's probably not ideal, but it is the situation that I'm in because I have this cut spring. So let's get that isolator put on here. So we're going to take this spring, and the way this goes, it's a one-way. You see this kind of a cutout on here that just fits over this part. We just kind of feed it into the coil here, gets wrapped around, and then we'll spin it into place. And there, that's pretty simple, not a lot to it. This is what I should have done when I did these springs quite a while ago. I just forgot all about it, but now we're doing it, now we're getting it done. So this is just all you need to do, so let's go ahead and put it back in the car. All right, so as I put this up inside there, I'm gonna have to be mindful of where this is, because remember that this part of the spring does fit against this tab back here, so it needs to sit in this trough and against that tab. There, Now that's locked in on that side. Let's go up top, make sure that it's centered up top. And it's not the easiest to see here on camera, but you can see how, you know, the way this thing fits inside, it's centered up in top here, which is what we wanted. So everything looks good, we can go ahead and put the shock back in. In case anybody was asking, you know, asking about these washers, what I did here is I put in this extra couple washers up there. It gives the suspension just, what is that, another 1/4 inch, 3/16 more travel for the shock. It's probably overkill. I know that they do that in race applications. I don't know if I need it here, but it's not hurting anything. All right, to finish it on the bottom here, we need to put the nut and the washer back on here. But what we need to do is we need to raise this just a little bit so that we can get this seat up into, so where he makes up with the shock here. We're just gonna jack up this control arm here and that'll get that to bottom out. There, that's all it took. All right, now we can go ahead and just let this control arm down a little bit, and there we go. That's all supported. Now we just need to do is the same thing on the other side, and then we've got these isolators in. All right, guys, that is it. That is Coil isolators. They should have been installed on the springs when I did that, like I said, but we got it on there now. I do need to remind you guys, if you go through this stuff, just double check all your bolts while you're in there, just in case you find something loose. You never know what you might find in there. In fact, speaking of that, I gotta go back and I gotta make sure I torque those lug nuts down on those wheels while I'm thinking about it. So, all right guys, that takes care of that. If you guys like the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you subscribe, I appreciate it because it helps my channel out, and we'll see you in the next one.